leaders in our private sector, led by the Lagos Business School, are coming together on Monday and Tuesday. It's going to be a very busy week, by the way, with some government officials to discuss the current challenging times in Nigeria. The remit is to focus on how to build a cohesive national development agenda between all the federating units of the country. Let's get a preview of what's on the menu as Dr. Franklin Ngwu, the director in charge of Sustainability Center at the Lagos Business School, joins me now on the show. A warm welcome to you, Dr. Franklin Ngwu. You're getting ready for next week. I'm sure you got a whole lot on your agenda. But let's talk about this. Why is there an urgent need for a cohesive national development agenda for Nigeria? We swim together or we sink together. Is that it?
Exactly. So if you notice, Bosun, that today World Bank published a report saying that Nigeria is in the worst unemployment crisis. When you go to poverty, you also know that we are also branded as the poverty capital of the world. Then you talk of insecurity. They've also, in that report, they said that about 4,000 kids have been made orphans due to COVID-19. And of course, on a daily basis, we hear about kidnapping, killing, insecurity everywhere. Then you talk about also issue of corruption, issue of FDI leaving Nigeria. So you find out that in all the key variables, we're not doing well. And when a student takes SSE and scores and had out of 9 subjects, and he now scores 7 F9, of course there is a need to worry and to say what is going on. And that's the situation we have in Nigeria, that everybody is warning us, we are borrowing too much. Insecurity is going up, corruption, unemployment, poverty, and these are all the key indices telling you that something is wrong with the agenda you have at the moment. So that's the reason why we believe that it is very important to re-examine what we are doing at the moment, because it's clear that we are not getting the right results that we desire, and of course population is growing rapidly as well. So it's time for us to sit back and say what is really going on, how can we have a better assessment.
I agree with you. It is said that a life not worth examining is not worth living, by one of the greatest poets of human history. So, what changes now that we want to undress in public, in a manner of speaking, through a public summit or a conference? What changes are necessary on the political, economic front, as well as policy options that we need to have shared and inclusive values that can drive growth, create jobs, and reduce tension, generally speaking? This pressure cooker environment, I'm getting heated up.
So I agree with you. Of course, you know, if you from the political economy side, we are thinking that it might be important for us to rethink in terms of our structure of governance, to say what we've been doing for the past 40 years, 50 years, has it really worked? If it hasn't worked based on results we are getting, that it might be necessary to rethink the kind of structure of governance we have in Nigeria. Then in terms of policies, we might say, okay, the policies that we use to address the issue of poverty, has it really worked? The answer is no. The policies that we've used to address the issue of insecurity, in terms of FDI, in terms of making sure that we have a cohesive society, has it really worked? No. And that means it is time for us to say, how do we rejig and re-examine these policies? Is it possible to say, okay, do we look at it from a different perspective in terms of, for example, subnationals to re-examine what they are doing from local government? Or so should we continue with this kind of system where the federal government takes the shot, followed by the states and local? So it's more or less to rethink some of these things, to say what are the necessary adjustments in terms of our political economy, in terms of our policies to be able to get a better outcome for Nigeria. Because it's also in our collective interest that these things are done and these things are changed.
Well, I'm going to ask you this question, so think very carefully before you answer. Do you think Nigeria's current many challenges are surmountable? And what opportunities do you see in the economic and business space?
Thank you very much. I think it's a very interesting question, but also the answer is very, very visible. Because if you look around Nigeria, from Sokoto State to Lagos, and from Lagos to Maiduguri and back to Cross River, you see unimaginable immense opportunities and potentials. So that clearly tells us that even with all these challenges that we're having, when you do a kind of SWOT analysis in terms of our strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats, you see that our strengths and opportunities far, far outweigh our weaknesses and threats. So the question then is that the opportunity that we have here is there. What is supposed to happen is now, how do we now sit back and say, how do we use our strengths to tap into these opportunities to create jobs, to reduce inequality, to reduce insecurity, to make Nigeria truly the giant of Africa, which we are really losing. So in answer to your question, yes, the opportunities are immense. And everywhere you turn to, you see opportunities in Nigeria. And of course, being in Lagos Business School, where we interact with many businesses and see what they are doing, it tells you that the opportunities are there. All that is required is that focused leadership, good strategy, and good plan to move the country forward and at least help us to achieve very, very positive economic growth. It's supposed to be in the double digits, actually.
I agree. That's the IMF talking about Côte d'Ivoire doing 6% this year GDP and 6.5% next year. If you consider Nigeria by every ramifications, we should be doing double that, by the way. Okay, 60 seconds. Tell me about this two-day conference on Monday and Tuesday. Who is on the list?
Okay, what we've tried to do, based on these challenges that we have in Nigeria, we believe, LBS and partners believe, that the opportunities that we have here, as I said earlier, far outweigh the challenges that we have. And we believe that this kind of cohesive approach would be a better way to achieve what we want to achieve. So on the panel, what we are looking at is to have the Secretary to the Federal Government, Boss Mustafa, as one of the keynote speakers. Then we have the Governor of Ekiti State, as Chairman of Governors Forum, Kayode Fayemi, as one of the keynote speakers. And we now say, okay, let's talk to the National Assembly. And we have the Minority Leader, Enyinaya Baribe, as one of the keynote speakers. So after these three keynote speakers, looking at issues from the federal government, subnational, and National Assembly, then we will go to have at least 2 good panel sessions. We also have the World Bank Country Director. We have the Governor of Ondo State, Akerodolu. We have the Governor of Borno State, Professor Zulum. And all that are very important personalities that we've drawn from the public sector, from the private sector, and also from the civil society, and also the media as well.
I'm happy the private sector is there, because I was just to ask, when you talk about the subnationals, you need the private sector in the room. Dr. Franklin Ngwu of the Lagos Business School, wish you all the best at the conference next week. You need to get out of the studios right now. The vehicular traffic in Lagos is getting a bit heavy ahead of tomorrow's local government elections. Thank you.